There's nothing like hearing from it from the front lines, yeah? I just wanted to share, again, I think it's the most important to hear from clinicians on the front lines, but there's a lot of data to back up. You know, we heard at the press conference, somebody said, are you going to publish? You have data. Clinicians should not be and are not required to publish their data. There are plenty of scientists, researchers, and clinicians jointly who do like to publish. There's plenty of data. And I'm just going to list some of the data that we have available. And Americans need to know how long a time period we've had this data available. So back in February 19th, the first study showing that hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine worked was from China. That's February 19th. It was so convincing to the Chinese government that they actually said that chloroquine should be included in the Health Commission of the People's Republic of China for the treatment of COVID-10 infection in larger populations in the future. They made it part of their official national policy on February 19th. On March 4th, the studies from France, effective. March 20th, the studies in New York with 1,400 patients, effective. March 22nd, India, they recommended prophylactically. That wasn't a study, that just became their national policy. March 22nd, another positive study from China. April 11th, another positive study from France. April 13th, another positive study from New York with long-term nursing home patients. April 17th, another positive study from Brazil with over 600 patients. April 21st, in 16 countries, another positive study. April 24th, Iran, a positive study. April 30th, Saudi Arabia, a positive study. May 15th, back to China, another positive study. May 16th, back to France, 1,000 patients, another positive study. June 6th, France, another positive study. June 20th, India, another positive study in prophylactic use. June 29th, Brazil, cut it in half. June 29th, Detroit, cut it in half, and those are in late-stage patients. It works even better in earlier stage. June 30th, New York City, over 6,000 patients, decreased mortality with hydroxychloroquine. July 3rd, another positive study. These are all listed in the white paper on America's Frontline Doctors. I don't want anyone to think that there's a dearth of data on the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine. And what goes along in supporting all this data is when you look at countries where hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine is used liberally, and you compare that to data in countries where it's not used liberally. Because we've been hearing a whole different story for many, many months, and this has really become a national problem, a national disaster, actually. We're enveloped or surrounded by a spiderweb of fear that doesn't need to be there. Now, it's led to lots of problems, because to reverse course, to get access to hydroxychloroquine now has become a really big problem, right? It wasn't over-the-counter here in this country, even though it was over-the-counter much of the world. And you say to yourself now, as you're listening to this as an average American, well, gosh darn it, I would like to get my hands on some of that stuff. I get texts and emails like that every single day. Like I said to you earlier today, I've had 2 congressmen ask me, how are they going to get their hands on this stuff? Well, one answer is you can go to Indonesia. Someone can send it to you from there, or maybe you can pick it up from a mullah in Iran, because they'll give it to you as well. You can just walk right into a drugstore there and get it. We just can't get it here. So the question is, why can't we get it here? What's going on? Because there's surely more to the story. Many of us here, probably everyone really, thought that this had to do with hatred of the president, that he spoke for it, so other people spoke against it. I know that I certainly thought that when I started this journey. I was very, President Trump says he likes it. The next day, the media said it was terrible, and then we're off to the races. But all of us that have been working with this, since February, let's say, we found out some more information. Before we get to exactly why the wool has been pulled over the eyes or blindfolds have been placed on the American people, let's look at a lot of the different hoaxes. Hydroxychloroquine is not the only hoax. There are multiple hoaxes out there.